Peace, peace. Hotep. This is Anpu with another video on question everything. The reason why I'm making these videos is two reasons. For one is to show people what I went through in my awakening state, how I went through my awakening state. My past videos that I did was on astral projecting, astral traveling, and it was a amazing experience. And at that time, you know, I wasn't, I had no help. I had nobody really explaining to me what was happening to me, why this was happening to me, how this is happening to me. So, the first thing that I went to was, you know, through religion. Maybe religion has something on this subject. And like I said in the past, I grew up in a Christian household. And so, I looked towards the Bible. But then as I was trying to, just read the Bible, see, look for some answers, I didn't find any. But during my research of breaking down the scriptures, I found out, you know, things just didn't sound right. So I started to question it, started to question religion, you know. And I got into it with a couple of debates with, people that are very religious and think they know the Bible. But this is what started me on my journey. And I began to become more conscious to what's really going on. And and it helped me a lot. It just, you see life in a different view, and like I said before, I just feel that religion just separates everybody. And the second reason why I'm making these videos is to help others that are interested in being awakened, to help others to become conscious. And maybe you too can have the experience that I had, far as astral traveling, having psychic abilities, moments, just just things that you just can't really explain what happened to you. And I'm pretty sure, man, there's a lot of people out there that question religion, that question a lot of things. Just question life, period. So, this is the reason why I'm doing these videos. And and it's just dropping some knowledge on some people, you know, some good information. And I'm just going off of the King James Version. All right. God's word. And yeah. So like it's like I said, man, religion, it just separates people. Like just Christianity alone, there's like 400 different Christianity groups. And if I say, oh, I'm a Catholic or I'm a Baptist, people just, they tend to stay within a group, but it all boils down that they read the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's like 400 different type of Christian groups. There's different types of Muslim groups, and there's different types of Judaism, Jews. So it just separates people. Everybody has their belief, and that's cool. That's cool. You know, if that's what you believe in, then that's what you believe in. But some people, they go extra, and then they want to push what they believe on you, and which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, information, affirmation is all good. But back to this King James version. Like I said before, this is his version of the story, and the King James version is considered the closest to the original Hebrew scrolls. And still in Genesis, and I want to touch on something real quick. I want to go back to Genesis chapter 3, and when it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And, to think about that more subtle than any beast of the field, this is telling you that there are more than one like his kind. There is more than one. Okay? And, this is something that we have to question, it's something that we got to think about. And we also talked about um, the serpent, and in Hebrew it's called Nahash, and the whisperer. And this is, we thinking about, you got to think about the reptilian type of being. So this is what we dealing with. I know it sounds like some sci-fi, when you really think about it, but it's true. It is what it is. This is what's in the book. Oh, before I want to even touch on this, I got a crazy story. Um, this is what I was saying, when you become conscious, like crazy things just be happening, like messages. I had now I'm down south, so I had went to this little shop. And it's made of like a log cabin, and I've always wanted to go there. They sell like firewood and stuff like that, and like little trinkets. And every time I wanted to go there, it was closed. So just the other day, last week, I went there. It was open, swooped in there, whatever. The people that own it, very nice people, and went in there. And it was kind of weird when we first approached, because they were like standing out. The owners were like standing outside, and we were like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, can we go inside? Like, what y'all got in there? What y'all selling in there? They're like, "Yeah, come inside, come inside." So we went in there, and it was just a lot of stuff in there, like a lot of things from the past, and a lot of things that Native Indians have made. Arrows, bows, jewelry, crystals. And I know I spoke about crystals in my last videos and in actual traveling videos, and just a lot of different little trinkets and stuff like that. So I had bought this bracelet. It's a copper bracelet, and for those that know, that copper, is very good for you when you wear it. That's why back in the day, you would see like the elders, they always had like a copper bracelet. It's good for your bones, it's good for your blood. You know, just do the research on that, on why you should wear a copper bracelet, as well as gold too. I'm an alchemist. You got to deal with the elements. But long story short, went there, bought the bracelet. They were very nice people. The guy that owns the place, him and his father had built it like out of wood logs, and like in this area where I'm at, it was like, it's growing now, but back in the day, it was like all forest and shit. It was a bunch of grasslands, and he was like, yeah, we used to hunt on these lands. There was no stores out here. We used to hunt, and his father is a native Indian, and this copper bracelet was made by the Navajo tribe. It's pretty cool. It's a nice bracelet. So that same day, I was with my girl at that time. We had left. We came home to the apartment. As soon as we got to the apartment, a friend called her and was like, "Hey, I'm just getting off of work. Can I stop by?" My girl was like, "Yeah, come through." So she comes by. So she knocks on the door. I open the door. She goes, "Hey, I found this bracelet, coming up the steps." So I was like, "You found a bracelet?" So she was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "It's not mine, because I only bought this. This is the only thing I bought, and she didn't buy anything. I was the only one that bought something." But peep this. She gives me the bracelet, and I'm looking at it. And look what's on there. Carving of a native Indian bracelet. Now, how do you explain these things, right? Messages, messages, they try to communicate with you somehow, some way, maybe through the spiritual realm, maybe something that relate, to my ancestry through, native Indian. I am half Puerto Rican and half African American, so maybe, Puerto Ricans, you're dealing with the Tainos, the native Indians, the Tainos tribe. So maybe it was some type of connection that, I had got from that moment. But it's pretty deep, man. Like I said, You start becoming conscious, man. You start having these psychic moments, certain messages coming. These things just start happening. And, you just can't make this stuff up. And I'm pretty sure those who are watching, you probably had, situations like that, you know, especially within your grandparents. When you hear stories of your grandparents saying certain things, you know, back, they probably would say, oh, it's Jesus Christ. but, but, it is what it is, man. All right, back to this scripture. So, serpent, more subtle than any beast of the field. We got to question that. Reptilian type beings. Um, also, let's see. This is pretty interesting too. Um, yeah, chapter 3, verse 14. Yeah, chapter 3, verse 14 in Genesis. Peep this. It says, this is when God is cursing the serpent, taking his legs away, and making him crawl on his belly like a snake, right? And then it says, upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all of the day of thy life. Meaning, this is what I'm taking from it, that this serpent will be eating flesh for the rest of his life. Flesh. Because it's saying the key word there, what I see, is dust. This is why when they say ashes to ashes and dust to dust, dust meaning that your physical body is created from the planet Earth. You see what I'm saying? Inside this vehicle is the real you, your soul, your spirit. That's the real you. This physical body is just a vehicle to have this experience on this dimension, on this third dimension. And when I read that, I'm saying to myself, wow, you know, the dust shall thou eat all the days of his life, meaning that that serpent is going to be eating flesh. So then when you start doing research on serpent beings, they speak of, them eating humans. Now, that's something we got to question and something we got to think about. I know it sounds far-fetched, but when you start doing research like the dude David Icke is really big on the reptilian agenda and all that. He's all on the YouTube and wrote books and interviews and all that. And speaking of these reptile beings abducting people to eat their flesh. Now, when I first started researching, I thought it was like, man, that shit sound crazy. But when you really think about it, you look at it, it says it right here. Thus shalt thou eat all of the day of thy life. So ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You know what I'm saying? And even when you're breaking down the word Adam, comes from the word Adamah, the blood. You know what I'm saying? It's always dealing with blood, flesh, the clay. I formed man in clay. Clay. If you think about it, what is dust? Dust is part of the earth, dirt. You know what I'm saying? It's just minerals of the planet. So that's definitely something you have to question. Um, so moving on. So we ran through about Adam and Eve having kids, Cain and Abel. Okay, and let's see. All right, so you're having Cain and Abel and all that good stuff, and also Cain killed Abel. We had the question now we talked about before. Cain killed Abel and then went to the land of Nod and then found his wife. Who are these beings? And when you go to chapter 6, verse 7, it speaks about, and the Lord said, you know, I will destroy man. Like, that's pretty deep, you know. after he, you know, after he repented, saying, "Damn, I wish I would have never made this man. You know what? I'm just going to destroy him." So we gotta think about what type of entity we dealing with, who or entities we dealing with, because basically it's more than one. You know what I'm saying? And then I also spoke about the last video about the giants, the Nephilims, who are the giants living in the earth and all that, and they produced it wicked men. So it's like if they put, he would have knew he's the Almighty God, then why he didn't predict that they were going to produce wicked men? Why would these sons of God would sleep with the earthlings? You know what I'm saying? So that is one thing that caught my attention. Like what type of God we dealing with that creates something so beautiful, but then if it doesn't go his way, I'm just going to destroy it. It says it right here. You know what I'm saying? I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth. See, that's going back to the dust, from the face of the earth. All right? And going along, and then you have the story of Noah. All right? Now, I'm pretty sure those who read the Bible, you heard of the story Noah. God gave him a message that he was going to wipe everybody out, build this ark. You're going to take your family. Your family is the chosen family, and they're going to, live on this ark with animals. So, you have a male and a female of every animal, every creeping, crawling thing, every fowl in the air, every bird. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to really worry about the aquatic life because he's going to destroy man with water. Okay? So basically, you ain't got to worry about the fishes and the whales and dolphins and all that other sea life. But land animals, a male and a female, need to be put on this ark, right? We all know this story. But in here, and let's see, yeah, chapter 7, verse 21, right? And all flesh died and moved upon the earth, both fowl and the cattle and the beasts and every creeping thing that crept upon the earth, and every man. So basically, if you was not on this ark, you are dead, right? You are gone, finished, you're done. So this is something we gotta question, right? So my question is, now let's think about far as when he built the ark, where is this really taking place at in part of the world? Now I broke down before with Genesis is pretty much taking place. So we dealing with around Africa. Okay, we dealing with around Africa. Okay? So we dealing with that region of the world. So my question is, what about the animals, creeping, crawling insects, birds that live on the other side of the planet? North America, South America, Central America. All right, what about those animals? So you trying to tell me while he was building this ark, these animals and creatures swam across the Atlantic to get to this ark in order to survive? You see, these things is things that we have to question. Like, so you trying to tell me that the brown bear, the grizzly bear from North America, swam across the Atlantic to go all the way to this ark, or a deer or a raccoon from North America, or one of these tropical frog from Brazil had to come across the Atlantic Ocean to get to this ark? You see, these things, You got to question, because the Bible, yeah, it gives you stories but it's like it doesn't give you enough information, and then it just doesn't really support when you put your mind and thought to it. It's like it doesn't make sense. And then you got this ark and then these animals on the ark, and then it's like, okay, so how you gonna? Because when you read chapter 7, verse 24, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. 150 days, that's a lot of months right there that you on this ark in this water. And then you got to think about the time that you have to wait for the water to start to descend. So that's more months. So then how are you uh feeding these animals? Let's take, for instance, a lion, right? Now you do the research on carnivores, pretty much, like a lion. It takes, like, how much, it tells you how much pounds of meat that they need to eat to stay alive, right? Animals that need a lot of water, like an elephant. So you're trying to say that you had all these supplies on the ark as well? And then you got to think about it. You got predators. They are predators. A lion and tigers, these are all predators. And he's surrounded by other animals. So you telling me that these predators is not going to eat these other animals? And they starving? You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit don't make no sense. It's not real. It doesn't sound real to me. It might to you. I mean, it's a good story, but we gotta question these things. You see, when they did the movie of Noah, they had like this special herb that put them to sleep. They put all the animals to sleep. This is how the movie kicked it. But I mean, we gotta think about it, man. I mean, this is something we gotta question. So if it's something that's, if there is a herb out there that you like an incense, and it put you to sleep for months, then where is this herb? Has anybody heard of this herb? Have anybody found this herb? What part of the world that this herb grows? This is something we gotta question. And you could be asleep for months and not go hungry. The body still needs to be nourished at the end of the day. I mean, we could survive without food for a week or two. That's basic science. But you can't survive without water. You can't survive without water for that long. You can survive without food, longer than for water. So then he's like, okay, so we getting all this water? Because if the whole ocean just flooded everything, you can't drink the ocean water. That's salt water. You can't drink ocean water, you'll die. So this is something else we gotta question. Um, let's see. In chapter 8, verse 5. No, I'm sorry. Verse 4. Chapter 8, verse 4. All right. So the ark rested on the seventh month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Arafat. Right. Where is that at? It's in Turkey. All right. It's in Turkey. Turkey is in Europe. It's not that far from Africa. So another thing I have to question: has anybody found the ark in Turkey, in these mountains? Has anybody found this ark? They have one video on YouTube surfacing about, oh, these Asian scientists found the ark. Well, they didn't even found the ark. They found pieces of wood in the ice, pieces of wood, and they saying, oh yes, we found it. That don't mean nothing. That's not hard enough evidence. You know what I'm saying? And for something that symbolic, that ark, that thing should have been, you know, a place of worship, like a temple. Because remember, everything is being wiped out. So now life has to begin again. So where life is going to originally start from again? In Turkey. So why this wasn't preserved like the pyramids? I mean, we can go to Egypt to this day and see the pyramids which exist thousands of years. So this is something we got to question. It just doesn't make sense. And you trying to tell me after everything descended, the water descended, all the animals just went on their merry way? So you trying to tell me that lion wasn't tempted to attack that water buffalo while they were leaving? It just don't make sense. Or the raccoon had to swim back across the Atlantic Ocean to his natural habitat, or certain insects or reptiles had to go swim across the Atlantic or travel all the way back to his natural habitat. I mean, let's wake up, people. We need to wake up, like, for real. Uh, so pretty much, they survived it, and in chapter 9, verse 7, God is like, and you be ye fruitful and multiply and bring forth abundantly on the earth and multiply therein. So you trying to tell me, this is something else we got a question. You trying to tell me that because you had Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their 3 wives, they are responsible for all the beings that are on this planet. They are responsible for Native Indians, Africans, Asians, Indians, and the indigenous tribes in Australia, you know what I'm saying? Indonesians, all these different races. You're trying to tell me that they are responsible for all these different races on the planet. And so they multiplied. So basically, it's pretty much incest. This is what this is telling me. That this is all incest. That this is what is practiced back then. Even with dealing with the Quran, when I told y'all about the story of Adam and Eve, in the Quran point of view, that Eve had twins, and they had to marry each other's sisters and shit. So that's incest. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it is what it is. I mean, was incest practiced in the ancient times? Yes, of course. We know this when you research the ancient Egyptians, ancient Kemet. Yeah, this is how they kept the bloodline and all that. Their bloodline strong, and I'm pretty sure the kings and queens in Europe. You got the story of the blue bloods. You know, they all part of the same bloodline. I mean, if we think about it, every president that was president in the United States is considered in the same bloodline. A little girl had did the research on that, blew people mind. That she pinpointed that all the presidents of the United States that existed are related somehow. So now we're dealing with the same bloodline. And who's next to be president? Hillary Clinton. She is also part of that bloodline that resonate from Queen Elizabeth in Europe, in England. Question it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just speaking to my viewpoint. I mean, you call it how you see it. I'm calling it how I see it. And this is what I'm reading. This is what I'm reading. So, yeah. And also when you do the research of the name Noah, right? You go deep into the research of the name Noah. That word, that name means to be naked and with drunkenness. You know what I'm saying? To be naked and to be drunk. And it's funny because that's what he did after the flood. He got wasted. He went in his tent and he got butt naked and was drinking like a sailor, literally. You know what I'm saying? This is why I said it doesn't make sense to me. But that's why I said you got to research and be open minded about everything. And when you study the New Milish, now you can see where in the New Milish resonates where in ancient Sumerian texts. That's why I said most of these stories in the Bible, pretty much all the stories in the Bible, are stolen from ancient Kemet, which is ancient Egypt, and ancient Sumerians. Okay, when you read the Numeralish, it's pretty much the same story of the flood of Gilgamesh, and you can see, and that story outdates this book thousands of years. This is what I'm trying to explain. That do your research. You know, stop being a radical. Do your research. It is what it is. Uh, it's crazy, and it's funny because now that I'm down here down south, there's a new Christian group. I think they were founded in 2006, something like that. 2006 or something like that. They were founded. They called it Elevation Church, right? I'm telling you, they be coming up with new churches all the time, and it's growing really fast. Like it's crazy. And to be a member, you got to give like 10% of your hard hard working money, 10% of your check every month. So if you basically make like $800 every 2 weeks or so, or $900 every 2 weeks, you're gonna have to kick out like almost $200 a month. That shit is crazy. I started to do a little research on the pastor because they have many churches of elevation, right? For those that don't know, um, but there's only like one pastor, and what they do is he films himself and he has a projector screen in all these different churches that's for everybody to see him preach. That shit is crazy. Um, you know, and I started doing a little more research, and it was like a speculation of money situation that he bought a $1.8 million mansion. I mean, damn, I should be a damn preacher because I know the Bible better than them. I need to become a preacher and get this money, basically, because that's what they doing, taking people's money. And they be having like more than 12,000 members. You think about it, 10% of your check, and people make different salaries. Ooh, that's millions a year, millions. And then on top of that, when you go to church, they gotta give you all. They pass the offering basket around. So you're giving 10% of your money, and then they're gonna get you some more when you're there. And they pass that basket around at least 3, 4 times. A service. I mean, damn, people. Yo, we need to wake up, man. We need to wake up. Really, truly look deep inside yourselves. We are not that different from anybody else. You know, not that different, man. We're all souls, living souls and spirits. But you know, the world don't see it that way. There's always going to be separation. There's always going to be separation. Oh, and another thing too, just crossed my mind about the Noah business, right? So if every animal and being that wasn't on that ark, they all died, right? Remember, there was giants as well on the earth, right? Or in the earth. I don't know. Let's call it, right? So then when you go further into the Bible, now if everybody died, right? Now you go further into the Bible, how you got the story of David and Goliath? Goliath was a giant being. So technically, that's just telling me that everybody didn't die. I guess. So I guess God lied again. I'm just saying. It says it right here, all flesh died that moved upon the earth. All flesh died. This is God speaking, right? Lied again, man. It's too much confusion. That's wrong. That's the problem with religion, man. Too much confusion. I just believe in energy. Life is pretty much based on energy. I mean, they got good people and bad people in every race on this planet. You know, but when you turn on the news, you see all these, these stories of police brutality and separation. It's like the media is creating more separation. It's like, why is this so much separation? I don't know. This shit is crazy, man. So much separation. But we're gonna get into that, man. Let me see. Hold on for a second. Let me see. You know what? I'm gonna stop there because after the Noah situation, we start to go into Abraham. And that's a whole nother business that we gotta discuss because once again, another story that we have to question. There's a lot of information in there, and I'm like, really? Let me go, man. It's your boy Anpu with another video on Question Everything. Hotep, peace, I'm out.